All right, folks, let's head over to Canada here. Canada sees unemployment workers rise nearly 20% in just 1 year. Canada's economy continues to struggle with job creation that keeps up with its population. Says StatsCan. Data shows that the unemployment rate was unchanged in December. However, the population growth means nearly 20% more unemployment than last year. That excludes the demand for work from international students, many attracted by promises of working extended hours while they study. And it goes on to the labor force, and Canada has nearly 20% more unemployed people than last year. Canada has seen the unemployment rate rise significantly over the past year. The unemployment rate hit 5.8% in December, rising 5 of the past 7 months. Since April, it has added 0.8 points, the same increase observed over the past year. Unemployment is low as a rate, at least from historical perspective, but it's still a lot of people. Unemployed individuals hit 1.2 million people in December at 19.3. This is on unemployment, folks. This is not people that are not working, right? So you got to get these numbers straight. You guys need to think these numbers straight through, right? 202,000 people from last year before the pandemic, August 2019, was the last time the rate reached 5.8%, and it did so with 70.8K fewer unemployment workers. It may not register much as a rate, so there it is right there, and unemployment levels surpass pre-pandemic levels. So we are going to go back to 2019, no confidence in government, and we're going to go back. Now, Canada's created a lot of jobs, but that's in the public sector. We covered Trudeau creates 220,000 jobs in Canada in 3 months or 1 month. Remember that? And they were celebrating that, and the mainstream media was celebrating that. Yeah, that's a big problem. That's a big problem when it's public sector, because these people don't contribute. All they do is create more bureaucracy, red tape, more application processes. It's a nightmare to get anything done in Canada because of the amount of layers of government we've created, with the amount of jobs that are being funded by taxpayers. It's actually destroying Canada from inside out. And here it is again, folks. Canadian economy dangerously concentrated in real estate, but government wants more. So government wants, obviously, to build more homes to export them to China. No, they're not exporting the house to China. They're actually building homes and leaving them empty, basically, at the end. And Canadian real estate sales are slow, but the industry is still swallowing the country's economic Statistics Canada StatsCan data shows residential investment gained in Q3 2023. The country's economy is now significantly more reliant on housing than the U.S. during the 2006 housing bubble. And we actually talked about this, and I'll show you guys. And it's getting worse, especially for policymakers' attempt to slant incentives towards further concentration. Concentrating resources amplifies risks, producing larger consequences for the economy. It's like they're doubling down their debt on the housing bubble. So this is a bubble, and we said this before years ago, a bubble on a bubble on a bubble on top of a bubble on top of on a ship in the windy Mediterranean, ready to fall over. That's what's happening right now, and they are doubling and tripling and quadrupling down on the housing market. And Canada's economy is slipping back into further dependence. So dangerously connected to housing. And what have we told you guys here, folks? Let's zoom this in a little bit here for you guys to see. And lots. Canadian economy dangerously dependent on real estate to prop up GDP. Canadians going broke 5 years, 5 months ago. So there it is right there. Canadian economy dangerously dependent. What does this one say? Canadian economy dangerously concentrated in real estate. So it's almost word for word what we said. Canadian housing market under attack. Major homelessness ahead. CCP takeover. Money laundering 2 years, 10 months ago. Canadian housing market saved, and that's a joke. A joke video I made there. Basically, it's saved because now we are exporting our homes. World economic dumpster fire. Canadian housing market too much to hold. And yeah, too little too late. Now Canada wants to ban foreign investors. They should have done that 10 years ago. But that's what it is. And when you type in dependent on our channels, channel video of channels of what we've made. Rest in peace, Vancouver middle class economy is too dependent on real estate. We need to export 6 years ago. Australian economy too dependent on housing. Canada's economy and GDP too dependent on CCP money laundering. Canadian economy too dependent on public sector jobs. Vacant homes will force more people into homelessness. Economy is too dependent on foreign investing 7 years ago. So this is something that's been happening for years now. And this is something that's going to continue happening going forward. And this is a major problem if you're living in Canada. You are starting to feel the effects. Hey, I tried to warn people years ago. I really, really, really tried my best to tell people what was coming down the pipeline. I really did. I really put my heart and soul into making sure people weren't over-leveraged, taking on too much debt, using their homes as ATM machines, making sure they're prepared for a rate hike. Check your GDP, not your GDP, check your TDS, your total debt service ratio. I even showed you guys how to use a calculator online on how to check your TDS. It's so important because it's you guys that are on the hook for this. The governments and the banks will come after you for life. And I'm just doing and trying my best. Now, there's all these new people reading these articles today with no track record of warning, just reading headlines and sensationalizing. And that's the sad part of social media and how it's become. Anyways,